Welcome to r/Entitled Parents, where a mother tries to get total strangers to watch her kids for an evening. Today, I, an 18-year-old male, went to a local outdoor gym. It's a fairly basic setup, a few bars to hang off, some planks to jump onto, and parallel bars. I like to do a workout after university most days. Today was no different. I got into my workout gear and ran from where I'm staying at the moment to the outdoor gym. I was the only one there when I got there, just like normal. Occasionally there will be one other person. After about half an hour, a mother with a few kids came. The kids would be between 3 to 5. They started playing on some of the bars and stuff, as kids do. I was fine with that, I just didn't use those bars in my circuit. While working out, the mother kept looking at me. She would have been mid-20s to 30s. After about 10 minutes, she came over to me and said, "Isn't it a bit weird that you're using a playground like this?" I was confused but responded, this is an outdoor gym. "Well, you should go to a real gym, so I don't have to worry about my kids." This is here for the community. I don't have an issue with kids being here, but I find it kinda rude how you're asking me to leave. "Well, if everyone is allowed here, how about you stop scaring my kids with your presence? A big guy in the playground is scary." What do you mean by that? "Well, the way you're here, you probably touch kids." I really don't appreciate you throwing around BS like that. "Wow, now you're swearing. Absolutely disgusting. My kids don't need to hear this." She then left with all her kids. OP, you should have just looked at her kids and been like, "Nah, your kids are too old for me. Not my type." Our next Reddit post is from Ratitude. I took my kid, a 7-year-old girl, to an animal sanctuary. They announced that they would be feeding a baby sloth at a certain time. So my kiddo and I head over to wait. My kiddo was right at the front, close enough to look the sloth in the eye. Karen was standing to the right of my kiddo. Her son, who looks to be about 11 years old, comes shooting through the crowd and stands right in front of my kid. My kid has a list of neurological disorders and can't yet navigate the finer points of social interaction, so she freezes and starts to tear up. I say, "Excuse me, you're standing in front of my daughter." The entitled kid looks dumbfounded, but doesn't move. "Hey, buddy, could you please move to your right? You're blocking my daughter." Entitled kid decided to give his balls a tug and replied, So, don't be rude. Move, please." The entitled mother says in Hindi to the entitled kid, "Ignore this stupid slut, son." I push my kid forward in front of the bratty kid, then quietly to entitled mother in Hindi, "Auntie, this white slut knows Hindi." The entitled mother grabs entitled kid and hotfoots it out of the crowd. Today's lesson, kids, don't assume someone doesn't speak a language because they're a different ethnicity. Our next Reddit post is from jamaicanmescream. I was traveling on a train yesterday afternoon back from seeing some friends. I was basically traveling the entire length of the route with a journey around 9 hours going over 450 miles north, so a long time. I had a reserved seat for the whole journey, with the seat next to me switching from being reserved for some of the journey for an hour or two, then being vacant. At around hour 6 of my journey, the train was becoming very busy with families going home from day trips out. The next stop saw the person sitting next to me depart, and a woman who was looking and acting as if the group of scraggy students, like me, and families with little ones were far beneath her, got on with a woman who looked my age, who were both looking around for a seat. The older woman, hereafter entitled mother, saw the space next to me and made a beeline for it, with the other woman, entitled kid, in tow. This is the conversation that followed. "Hi, I think you're in my daughter's seat." "Oh, really? I'm pretty sure this is the seat I reserved. Doesn't it say so on the display?" The train I was on had an automatic display saying whether or not the seat was reserved. My seat said it was reserved from the departure station to my arrival, while the seat next to me said it next became reserved at a station about an hour away. "No, the screen's gone off. These are the seats for me and entitled kid. Now move." At this point, I got out of my seat to look at the screen, which still said it was reserved, and quickly sat back down. Nope, it still says it's my seat. The seat next to me seems free for a while if one of you wants to sit down. "Why can't you just move? We're probably traveling further than you anyway." Sorry, but I'm really not going to move. The entitled mother raises her voice to attract the attention of others. "I can't believe you won't have the dignity to let me sit next to my child."
She can't just go sit on her own.
How old are you?
23, so probably older than you. You really should do what I say.
I'm 21 and look it. Seriously? I won't move from my reserved seat. Your child is 23 and doesn't need to sit with you. I was feeling petty and so rose my voice to mimic Entitled Mother when saying this.
That's it. We're getting the staff. I will not be spoken to like this by a child.
With that, they both left the carriage, and I didn't hear anything from any member of the staff or anyone else, though a lovely little old lady who was sitting across from me said that she probably would have sworn like a sailor at Entitled Mother and Entitled Kid if they'd spoken to her like that when they'd gone out of earshot. The icing on the cake was when the train stopped about half an hour later, so 2 stops after Entitled Mother and Entitled Kid got on. I saw them both getting off and walking up the platform. It took everything not to give them a little wave as they skulked past. Can you imagine a 23-year-old speaking to a 21-year-old and saying, "I'm older than you, you should do what I say"? Like, lady, you're 23. The world stopped working like that at age 8. Our next Reddit post is from Haz. My younger sister was diagnosed with cancer early 2017. As of now, she's still having treatment, and we're uncertain about when her treatment will end. Yesterday, she tried to walk to the bathroom from her bed. She slipped and landed awkwardly on her hand. Luckily, when we got it checked at the hospital, it was just a buckle fracture. It's not very serious, but it requires a splint. She didn't need a cast, and it was in her left hand, so I was happy with the outcome as it could have easily been worse. Anyway, later on that day, she was feeling a little upset and my mom went out to get all of us McDonald's. I was just spending time with little sister and helping her out with what she needed while mom picked up the food. Enter entitled uncle and entitled kid, around 8 years old. They visit fairly often and we're used to them arriving. Because of how annoying they are to little sister, I always keep my PS4, with games like FIFA and Fortnite installed, downstairs so any kids who visit stay away from my younger sister and they don't bug anyone else. The entitled kid says,
"Hi everyone."
Me, surprised to see them, "Oh, hi entitled kid, how are you?"
"Okay, can I play on the Switch?"
The Switch is for little sister. It always stays in her room and she takes it to the hospital when she has to stay. That isn't going to be possible. Little sister hurt her hand and she can't be near people. Have you seen her splint?
Obviously I saw the splint.
Then you know she can't. And you also know that I have the PS4 with games you like downstairs. I'll be down soon and I'll play with you. I should add that I've bought PS4 games I never use for the purpose of keeping visitors away from little sister. Her immune system can't handle people visiting, but entitled uncle's family fails to understand. I prefer keeping them downstairs because it's less pressure for little sister and puts me at ease knowing she's okay.
No, I want to play on the Switch with little sister.
I then suggest for entitled kid to take the Switch handheld and take it downstairs. Entitled kid then throws a tantrum. Enter entitled uncle upstairs to little sister's room. What did you do to upset him? I told him that he can't play on the Switch with little sister. I then told him to go on the PS4. Then I said take the handheld Switch downstairs. Are you really telling me that a splint on her left arm stops her from playing games? Me, slightly shocked, yes it does. Plus, she's tired from being in hospital all day, getting her arm sorted. Let her rest. I don't care if she's tired or has a broken arm. That shouldn't stop her from playing games with entitled kid. I'm just shocked at this point. Then my mom arrives back home with McDonald's. To shut up entitled kid, I gave him my McFlurry and told him to stay downstairs and go on the PS4. Entitled kid then did just that. I told him to load Fortnite on the PS4 and play it. His eyes lit up and there were no other arguments. We are still trying to recover from the scenario because little sister was left upset by what entitled kid and entitled uncle said. It's disgusting that their motivation to come to our house was to play on the Switch and eat our food. I don't mind giving the McFlurry. All I cared about was little sister being happy, especially after hurting her hand and all the other stuff she's been through the past 2 years. Does anyone else feel like this kid who plays Fortnite is the perfect example of every single Fortnite player? Our next Reddit post is from Draaaaaaven. Some context here. I host a weekly D&D game at a game store near my hometown. I'm friends with the owner and employees at the store and have been doing this for several months now. I run a fairly beginner-friendly game, and we advertise it on the website and on signs around the store to get people interested. This has all gone pretty well so far, and I've made some good friends of my regular players while having a large rotating cast of newbies that drop in and out of the game. Well, as I'm setting up for my game last week, in comes Entitled Mother and her 3 children, all aged between 4 and 8 if I had to guess. Well, Entitled Mother has a quick chat with the owner as he points in my direction and she comes over to me. She asks if I'm in charge of the game night, and I say yes, I am. She then tells me, doesn't ask, that her kids will be participating. I explain that I'm at table capacity for my game that night, so I wouldn't be able to accommodate 3 more players. She says, that's okay, they'll just watch then. I say that's fine, and explain the rough start and end times of the session, and she nods absent-mindedly while she scrolls away on her phone before sitting down at the table next to me with the kids. Well, about 20 minutes later, my players are all here and taking their places at the table. I'm not even halfway through my typical greeting and explanation of the game for that night before Entitled Mother has gotten halfway to the door of the game store. This is the exchange once I notice this. Ma'am, aren't you forgetting something? Cue me pointing to her 3 kids just sitting at the table half asleep at this point.
I'll be back at 10 to pick them up. Just make sure they behave, all right?
She's not even looking up from her phone, still walking away. I'm not a babysitter. You need to take your children with you if you're leaving.
I have things to do. Just don't let them get into any trouble and they'll be fine.
The owner, noticing what's happening now, no ma'am, we are not going to be responsible for watching your children for you. Please take them with you when you leave.
Fine, I guess I'll just have to tell their father that date night is ruined because a bunch of effing nerds couldn't keep their eye on 3 kids for a few hours. Pathetic.
The owner says, ma'am, there are children in the store, pointing to some of my younger players, and I'd appreciate you not using that language in here. I'm going to have to ask you to leave now. The Entitled Mother, turning bright red and grabbing her children, rushes out.
Oh, F off, you butthole!
Entitled Mother then leaves, and I spend the next few minutes talking with my players about the whole situation before we get back into the game. So that was horrible, but on the plus side, I think I have an idea for an evil hag character my players can take on next week, lol.
My name is Corinthia, and I demand you give your +5 sword to my precious halfling.
Our next Reddit post is from Darogaserik. And for context, this takes place in a Subway restaurant. Today, a woman came in with her teenage daughter. I say hello and ask if I can help them. The daughter asks for the bathroom code so she can wash her hands while Entitled Mother stands in line looking at her phone. More people come in. Entitled Mother is still on her phone. This conversation happens while people are lining up behind her.
What's the sub of the day?
Roasted chicken.
That's not what the sign says. It says either chicken teriyaki, ham, turkey, or...
I cut her off. The sub of the day changes every day. Since today is Tuesday, it's roasted chicken. The daughter comes back and stands with her.
Oh, well, that's really shady advertising. Whatever. I'll get 2 6-inches of that. Just keep the meat off my daughter's side. She's a vegetarian.
I asked the daughter if she wants me to make her sandwich first so I don't touch meat, and then her veggies. She says please and tells me what kind of bread she wants. I make it real quick, and she asks about a garlic sauce we have. She ended up liking it and wanted it for her sandwich.
I want that for my sandwich too, and chipotle and mayo.
Okay, what kind of bread would you like? This is where Entitled Mother turns into a grunt.
I was just about to ask you what kind of bread you have, but apparently you can't keep your mouth shut.
At our Subway, we do not have the right to refuse service, so I said, oh, I'm sorry. She throws her hands up in the air.
Stop wasting my time. What kind of bread do you have?
I tell her after she told me to keep my mouth shut, and she picks. I go put the garlic sauce on first.
I changed my mind. Just the other 2.
She gets a smug smirk on her face.
Get another piece of bread.
So I do. Then she asks about the chipotle steak. I tell her I'm so sorry, but we don't have the steak at the moment.
Why is it on the board if you don't have it? This is just ridiculous. Don't go promising things to people if you don't have it.
The teen grabbed her mom's arm because by now the line was to the door and everyone was looking at her. She told her to stop.
No, I am not going to be lied to like this.
The daughter cut her off and said, this is why I live with Dad. Just take me home. the daughter walked outside. Entitled mother looked at me, then the people behind her. She just asked for her sandwich to be wrapped up. She threw down $20 and walked out with her 2 sandwiches, looking down. Good tip at least. Update, she came in today alone with a big smile on her face. Ordered the sub of the day and told the manager,
I didn't give her change, so this sandwich was free.
Lol, nope. I already told my manager about her, and she said any change she leaves on the counter is considered a tip. My manager smiled and said, I've already heard from my employee and a customer what happened yesterday. You're not getting a free sandwich. That was rSlash Untitled Parents, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button because it really helps me out.